If you grew up in a time when boredom was a natural part of the day, when waiting was normal, and when silence wasn't frightening, perhaps you possess some superpowers today without even realizing it. We're not talking about nostalgia or saying things were better before. We're talking about something that happened to your body, your mind, the way you learn to exist in the world. Growing up before, the digital age shaped certain inner capabilities that seem rare today. The patience you possess, the way you observe, the way you can endure being alone without panicking. All of this is not by chance. It's the result of a kind of silent training that happened while you were simply living. This video is not a diagnosis. It's not a label. It's simply an invitation for you to look more closely at your own way of functioning. Perhaps you'll discover that what seemed to slow or not keeping up with everyone else's pace is actually a rare strength you've built without realizing it. If any part of this behavior seems familiar to you, share it in the comments. This is a quiet space to recognize yourself and better understand your own superpowers. The way your body faces boredom without panicking, just waiting. Have you ever noticed that you can stand still waiting for something without feeling that urge to grab your phone immediately? Maybe in a bank line, in a waiting room, or simply sitting on the couch doing nothing. Your body doesn't panic. It just waits as if it knows that time will pass anyway. This isn't laziness. It's a rare ability to inhabit the present without needing to fill every second with stimulation. You learned this as a child, when waiting for the cartoon to start on TV or for your mother to come home was a natural part of the routine. Your nervous system got used to the idea that not everything needs to be immediate. Today, this translates into a silent strength. You don't collapse when things take a long time. You don't feel like you're wasting time just because nothing is happening. Your body knows how to wait. And that, in today's world, is a superpower that few people still possess. The natural way her hands seek out textures instead of canvases. Perhaps you still pick up objects just to feel them. A pen on the table, the edge of a book, the fabric of a curtain. Your hands have a tactile memory that doesn't depend on smooth, cold surface. They, temperature, weight, roughness. They want to feel the world, not just glide across it. This stems from a childhood where touch was the primary way to explore. You would pick up stones, leaves, hard plastic toys, wet earth. Your hands learned that the world has texture, and this learning became ingrained in your body. Today, even without realizing it, you still seek this physical connection with the things around you. This is a type of sensory presence that many people have lost. You don't need constant visual stimulation to feel connected. Your hands do that for you. They anchor you to reality, to the tangible, to what truly exists. And that gives you a much deeper relationship with the world than it seems. Like eyes that follow clouds, trees, and shadows without needing constant stimulation. Have you ever noticed that you can look out the car window and simply observe the trees passing by, the movement of the clouds, the shadow of a building shifting? Your eyes don't need vibrant colors, quick cuts, or frantic movement to stay interested. They know how to find beauty in what is slow and subtle. This happens because your brain has been trained to process the world at a natural pace. As a child, you spent time looking at the sky, tracking an insect on the wall, watching the rain fall. There was no rush. There was no next video. Your eyes learned to rest in observation, not in the search for novelty every second. Today, this gives you a rare capacity for contemplation. You can be present without needing to be entertained. Your eyes know how to rest. And this isn't boredom. It's a form of deep attention that few people can yet access. It's a superpower of presence that the digital world doesn't teach. If you've noticed this way of reacting in yourself or someone close to you, right, this sounds like me. This helps this video reach more people who think and feel similarly. Your body's automatic patience in queues, waiting rooms, and long silences. You don't despair when you have to wait. In a supermarket queue, at a doctor's appointment that's running late, at a family lunch that takes forever to be ready. Your body simply accepts it. There's no growing anxiety, no feeling that every minute spent standing still is a minute lost. You just are there, waiting, as if it were natural. This comes from a time when waiting was inevitable. You waited for your father to come home from work. You waited for the soap opera to start. You waited for the weekend. You waited to grow up. Your nervous system learned that life has its own rhythm and that you don't control everything. This acceptance became ingrained in your body, and today it protects you from a lot of unnecessary stress. While many people around you collapse over a 5-minute delay, you remain whole. Your body knows that time will pass anyway. This patience is not passivity. It's an inner strength that allows you to go through life without breaking down with every small delay. And that's a superpower that few recognize in themselves. The way your mind creates complete stories just by observing faces on the street. Have you ever noticed that you can look at a stranger and imagine their entire life? The man on the bus with the old briefcase, the woman in the bakery smiling wearily, the boy looking out the car window next to you. Your mind doesn't need captions, context, or explanations. It creates narratives on its own just by observing. This happens because you grew up in a time when observing people was one of the few forms of entertainment available. You would sit on a park bench, in a waiting room, in the back seat of a car, and simply look. Your brain learned to read expressions, postures, ways of walking. It became a silent reader of humanity. Today, this gives you an automatic empathy that many people have lost. You don't just see bodies passing by. You see stories, weariness, hidden joys, invisible burdens. Your mind knows that each person carries an entire world within them. And this ability to see the other person deeply without needing words is a rare and precious superpower. The body's ability to be alone without feeling like it's missing out on something. You can be alone without panicking, without that feeling that everyone else is experiencing incredible things while you're standing still. Your body doesn't interpret solitude as abandonment. It understands it as a natural, even necessary state. You don't need to be connected all the time to feel part of something. This stems from a childhood where being alone in your room, playing with just a few things, was common. You would spend entire afternoons without constant company, without knowing what others were doing, and that was okay. Your emotional system learned that being alone doesn't mean being wrong or excluded. It simply means being with yourself. Today, this gives you an emotional independence that few people have. You don't go into crisis when the group disappears. You don't feel you need to always be visible to exist. Your body knows how to inhabit inner silence without fear. And this ability to be self-sufficient, even if only for a few moments, is a superpower that protects you from a lot of unnecessary anxiety. Their conversations take place with direct eye contact, without ever avoiding eye contact. You look into their eyes when you talk, not in a forced way, but naturally. Your body has learned that this is how you connect with someone. You don't look away at the screen mid-sentence. You don't seek distractions while the other person is speaking. Your eyes remain there, present, as if saying, "I'm here, I'm listening." This comes from a time when conversation was the primary way of being together. You would sit at a table on a sofa on the sidewalk and look at the person. There were no notifications competing for your attention. Your brain learned that the other person's face matters, that expressions change, that there's information there that doesn't come from words, and that became ingrained in you. Today, this gives you a relational presence that many people have lost. When you talk, person feels they're there, novided. No inalvhol connection then attitude. Your gaze is a superpower of intimacy that the digital world no longer teaches. The quiet power to finish boring tasks without needing immediate reward. You can finish boring things, wash the dishes, organize papers, read a long text without skipping paragraphs. Your body doesn't demand instant gratification to keep going. It simply follows through, as if it knows some things need to be done, and that's it. There's no internal negotiation. There's no need to turn everything into a game or a challenge. This stems from a childhood where many things were boring, yet you did them anyway. Handwritten homework, waiting for the program to record on tape, tidying your room because you had to. Your brain learned that not everything in life is stimulating, and that you are capable of overcoming boredom without falling apart. This resilience became ingrained in your system. Today, this gives you a natural discipline that many people have lost. You don't need music, a timer, or a reward every 5 minutes to keep going. You simply do it. And this isn't robotic behavior. It's an inner strength that allows you to accomplish things, even when no one is applauding. It's a superpower of silent persistence that few still possess. If this explanation has made things clearer about your personality, please comment. Now I understand better. Your participation strengthens this self-awareness community. The way your brain stores roots, phone numbers, and memories without relying on external files. You still remember roots, old phone numbers, addresses you've visited only a few times. Your brain hasn't outsourced all its memory to devices. It still stores important information as if it were part of you, as if remembering were a natural function, not an extra effort that can be avoided. This comes from a time when you needed to remember. There was no GPS. There was no cloud-based calendar. You memorized your grandmother's phone number, the way to your friend's house, the bus schedule. Your brain understood that this information was your responsibility, and it created strong internal networks, capable of storing and retrieving data without external help. Today, this gives you a cognitive autonomy that many people have lost. You don't panic when your battery dies. You don't get lost when the map fails. Your brain knows how to orient itself. And this ability to trust your own memory, to know that you carry knowledge within yourself, is a superpower of mental independence that few still value. The inner resilience that your heart, built up by learning that life happens, pace, no in click. You know that some things take time, that not everything gets resolved in a day, in a message, in a quick decision. Your heart has learned that life has its own timing, that planting takes time, that growing takes time, that building anything real requires patience, and you don't give up just because you don't see immediate change. This stems from a childhood where everything was slower. You waited months to save money to buy something. You waited all year for vacation. You waited to grow up, to be able to do certain things. Your heart learned that time doesn't obey your will, that you can want something very much and still have to wait, and this taught you a deep emotional resilience. Today, this gives you a rare strength to go through long processes without giving up. You don't abandon projects because they didn't work out in the first week. You don't give up on people because the connection wasn't instant. Your heart knows that real things take time, and this ability to sustain desire without demanding immediate gratification is a superpower of emotional maturity that the digital world can't teach. If you recognized yourself in some of these behaviors, know that you're not alone. Many people who grew up before the digital age carry these same silent strengths. They don't show up on resumes. They don't get likes. But they're there, sustaining you in ways you may never have stopped to notice. These superpowers don't make you better than anyone else, just different, shaped by a time that demanded other abilities. And those abilities still have value. They still protect you. They still connect you to the world in a deeper, calmer, more human way. Perhaps you've spent years thinking you were too slow, too disconnected, too quiet. But what if it's none of that? What if it's simply that you operate at a pace that the fast-paced world has forgotten to value? Your body knows things that many people have lost, and that's not nostalgia, it's real strength. Have you ever noticed this type of behavior in yourself or someone you care about? Share your experience in the comments. Sometimes, just reading similar stories makes us feel much less alone. If you enjoy content that reveals the hidden superpowers in your personality, subscribe to the channel. Here, we look at common daily habits with a calmer, deeper, and more human perspective.